Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures, and today we've got some more models from Signum Games. In fact, we have got Reiji the Firewind. This has been an elusive model for me to attempt to get, I must say. He was first previewed online when Signum Games was doing a set of their Black Sakura Fantasy Samurai models on Patreon, and I believe he was supposed to be like a loyalty reward or something, but then he mysteriously disappeared before he was even able to get downloaded. And then I believe he was in a bundle of models that were physical releases rather than STL files, and that was the only way to get him, and then he disappeared. But then he showed back up on his own in the store, and I'm like, you know what, finally I'm gonna grab him. I've been meaning to see this guy. He looks interesting. He's got a very interesting samurai style to him, and the rats hanging around. I don't know, there's a thing with Signum and rats. There's like, I've got the guy carrying a church organ with rats hanging out playing it with him, and now this guy's got like a little samurai rat. Not to say that we didn't already have samurai-type rats back in Confrontation days, but, I mean, that is a different company, so, you know. Card for the inevitable day that we finally get to play the game. I know I backed their Kitsune Kickstarter. I'll put a link down below if you're curious about it, because I know it hasn't shipped yet, at least at the time that I am filming this. So if you're curious about the game itself or getting any kind of bundle deal, and I know this guy, I believe, was in one of those bundles. I think. Don't quote me on that, but you might want to check that out as well as their actual website. So he is actually, as far as I can tell, cast resin. He is not a 3D print. Now, Signum Games does actually offer up a lot of their models as 3D prints. So if that's something that appeals to you and you don't actually own a 3D printer, that might be an option to take if you dig their designs. And believe me, they've got quite a few interesting ones. And funny enough, there's been a few models that, as far as I can tell, were offered only as 3D STL physical prints and didn't have any actual release on Patreon or in Kickstarters or anywhere else. So something to be aware of. There's definitely some little treasures hidden away in their back catalog, and I absolutely love going down that rabbit hole and taking a look at what's there. So here you can see his sword. One of the advantages, I think, of cast stuff is I don't have to fiddle with that on the 3D printer because I will break it almost every single time. So, yay, I don't have to worry about that. Body is nicely cast. A little bit of minimal cleanup probably should seal the deal. I'm hoping and assuming something is supposed to plug in there. I could be wrong. Little casting gate there. We're going to have to clean off on the bottom. Another one right there. I mean, this is doable. Unfortunately, he's got these super thin slots for his, what are they, Sashimono, I think were the name, for the back flags, but that was an issue I had with the 3D printed stuff as well. Be very careful with these. They like to break. So they're going to have one there. And then we have the other somewhere around here. There we go. So there's one for both sides. And then we have his actual head. Get it in focus. I dig that bird beak on it. So I'm curious if his body is going to actually be compatible with some of the 3D printed guys. Probably not, but still I'd be lying if I wasn't curious. Let's see, is this the crest of that? Nope, that looks, I don't know what this is. It's like a little sword. I'm not sure what I'm holding in my hand. Maybe it's part of the rat. That's my guess. Got a nice little scroll right here that we need to clean up. Here's the crest for the helmet. Very thin and fragile looking, so be careful with it. Arm. I guess that's it. So yeah, that is the mouse, I guess. In the artwork, he doesn't have a sword, but you can kind of see him. There we go. You can see his face. I feel like I'm missing part of him. He's supposed to... duh. I thought this was a hand. That is the bottom half of his little rat friend. Interesting. All right. Well, parts don't look super complex. They do look kind of thin, so I would advise caution, but then I should probably practice what I preach as well and be cautious myself. We'll see if that actually happens, though. So sit tight, I'll get them put together, and we'll see how things turn out. Okay, we got Reiji all put together here, and I, at least, am quite pleased with how he turned out. Couldn't figure out what I was messing with there, but that was his little rat friend. Some delicate pieces, but thankfully being a cast resin model, that's not going to be much of an issue. I think the challenge is really going to be his little back banners there, but I really love the style of this figure. He had been, momentarily at least, listed online as an STL file, but it didn't work, and I never saw it again, so I figured we're going to have to get it this way, like I said. And I'm quite pleased that we did. Obviously, he's going to stack up quite nice with the other cast models from Signum games, and it'll look quite good with them. Grabbing other models, such as a Warhammer figure. I was going to grab a Mantic one, but I don't know where you are. Where did you go, Mantic Man? There he is. Or perhaps with a WizKids figure. Just to give you a good idea of what to expect size-wise. So I think he'll look pretty good with a lot of the modern 28/32 millimeter figures. But if you're like me and you've got all sorts of random samurai and Japanese themed models laying around waiting to have other opponents to play with, well, that's what's really important. So here, grabbing one of the old War Games Factory / Warlord Games Test of Honor Ashigaru guys, a North Star Ronin figure. Good old Mifune or Toshiro or whatever they named him from Bushido, from GCT Studios. You can see, I think he's going to be a little bit larger than life with a lot of the other figures here, but that's okay. I mean, he should be. He looks like a hero. He's going to have to go on a 32 millimeter base. That's what he came with. I have him on a 30 millimeter because I don't know what I did with the base that was included. I'm looking around and I'm not seeing it now, so that's not a good sign, but I'm sure it's here somewhere. Grabbing some classic Legends of the Five Rings figures. So you can see, I think he's going to fit in quite nice with a lot of the existing larger size, as opposed to 15 millimeter samurai type models out there. And I know that somewhere I've got some of the STL file samurai models that were offered up on the Patreon, and I don't know what I did with them. I have been searching and searching, and I have not come across them. So unfortunately, I don't have those right this moment to compare, but at the very least, you know, you can see here how he's going to scale with a lot of the other stuff. Overall, I think a cool looking figure. The rats are an interesting touch, but then again, we've seen them with quite a few of the Signum models so far. I know a lot of their Japanese ones have them hanging around, but we've seen them with like their Holy Order guys as well, like the guy with the giant church organ that he's carrying on his back that the mice or rats are playing on. So yeah, interesting model. I definitely dig it, and I would love to see more, maybe some dynamically posed action poses for their samurai, be they cast models like Reiji here, or on the Patreon site where we can just go ahead and get them printed ourselves. Either way, I would be a happy camper, and hopefully you guys would too. Put a link down below so you can go snap up this cool looking model and hopefully find some other goodies there from Signum Games as well. With that said, this has been High Lord Tamerlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.